back to another F1 2021 video. So today we're going to be showing you the Jeddah circuit. I know I'm actually about 3 or 4 days late to this video. I promised that I'll put it up, but you know, so here I am. A little late, better late than never, I guess. So yeah, I'm going to take you through a fast lap of the Jeddah circuit first, and then I'll do a slow lap breakdown and show you the common mistakes I guess and the mistakes I made and I should have been corrected, that I should have corrected, or should I say, in this lap. But 129.203 is actually not too bad of a lap in my opinion, because top 14% on Xbox. I think that's pretty insane. I think that's the furthest I've ever gotten in the leaderboards in any racing game actually, because I'm not particularly a fast driver. But without further ado, let's get into it. So there you have it. That was the fast lap of the Jeddah circuit in Saudi Arabia, one of the new circuits actually. So I did a 129.203, and I definitely know the steering wheel says over there 129.083. So I don't know what to believe. I think that's a bug with the steering wheel display actually. My session theoretical best was 128.823 or something like that, if I remember properly. But that was because I actually went wide in one of the turns. I will go through that in a bit. So let's rewind all the way back to the start of the lap and just slowly break it down. So it's gonna get stuck a little bit here. Because this is just the loading of the Xbox, I guess. I don't know I think it's a bug with the replay because it's not supposed to do this. I don't remember doing it when I was doing it for the Imola lap. Alright. So the first corner where you want to take is, you always want to stick to the right here, like as close as you can. So your braking point will just be after that 100-meter board, just right before this curb. So right before this curb is where your braking point will want to be, and right before, just right before you hit that 50-meter board is when you want to slowly start making your turn. So I think I was afraid of locking up, which is why I didn't turn in too early. But after the 50-meter board, should be just fine to make your turn. So when you make your turn, this is actually a very tight corner. It's a very quick left-right corner, turns 1 and 2 here. So if you really want to save a lot of time on these corners, what you can actually do is cut it way earlier. So to an extent that if your wheel, your right wheel, is touching that white line just in front of my vehicle, you're still within track limits. So it's totally fine. But I think I was going a little bit too fast here. So obviously I missed that line. So once you get past that curb, it's going to be a right-hander from here on out. And actually, the angling of my car was over here was a little bit terrible. I should be facing a little bit more to the right. If you've seen some videos of other drivers driving this, especially F1 drivers. So, as you can see here, I'm testing track limits, obviously. So, as long as you don't pass that white line, your entire car passing that white line, it's totally fine. So, once you get past that corner, you really want to get on that accelerator as fast as you can, but be careful of this left curb here. Do not accelerate too much on this left curb, because if you do, your car is just going to spin out. So once you pass this, I mean, it's safe to floor it from here on out, all the way up to the next corner. So over the next corner, you want to stick yet again as much to the right as possible. Just past the 50-meter board is when you want your braking zone will start, in my opinion. Don't brake too late, because this corner is a bitch to like get right. It's one of the it's another corner that actually your first sector you'd really lose a lot of time. So when you start making your left turn, honestly, right in front of me, you see there's two white lines, right? The most inner white line, as long as your car doesn't cut that too much, you're pretty safe. So you can totally eat this entire corner over here, like totally, basically just skip it. And around at this point, like just before, around at this point is when you want to start getting back on your accelerator. But be careful, just because this bend over here, although it looks like a flat out bend, it's a bit tricky once you get like 3/4 of the way through. Because if you're flooring it all the way, even if you have full assist with traction control on, there's a very high chance that you'll still spin. So let's take this corner really quickly and show you what I mean. So ideally, where your car will want to be is somewhere in the middle of the, somewhere right at the 3/4 mark, all the way towards the end. Don't stick too close to the right here, because this corner you'd probably eat a wall as soon as you're gonna leave this corner. So at about this point is where you want to start. If you're getting on your if you're flooring your accelerator, is when you also want to be careful, because you spin out quite often at this corner. So from here all the way to the next few turns, it's very, very, very important that you get the throttle control and the turning of your steering wheel right. Because if you screw up even one from here on out, you basically just screwed up your your entire first corners ahead. So what you want to do is always stick immediately after that. You see this, like the moment you start to have visual of the left hand side curb, which is the Emirates Fly Better banner, you want to stick to the left as much as you can. So I was actually going really quickly, so obviously I couldn't turn the car as fast, because all my assists are turned off, so it's a bit hard to turn the car to get that traction going. So stick to the left as much as you can, as close to the wall as possible, but not too close, because you don't really want to accidentally hit that wall, which is a mistake that you will see at the last sector that I'll make. More on that later. So stick as much as you can. So if you notice, when you come to this point of the track, on the left hand side, you notice the track gets significantly darker compared to the middle of the track. The middle track is pretty wide. So where you want to sit your car would be somewhere in the middle-ish of this particular corner that you're going to take. So you're going to stick to the left as much as you can. It's a lot better if the car was even, I would say, a few inches to the left here, because there's going to be a very right-hander here. There's going to be a very tricky right-hander here, which I think arguably a lot of people just lose their time on. So watch that throttle. Try not to press your brakes here, because one, you don't really want to lock up and accidentally lock up on anything. You don't want to just go off the track, because going off the track here is very easy. So you stick to the left as close as you can. That was the best I could manage in those speeds, because I was taking this corner really, really fast. So what you're gonna do is you try your best to cut as much of this corner as you can. Like I said, if your entire car doesn't go over that white line, you're pretty much fine. So when you cut that, when you make that right-hander, where your car wants to sit over this next curb is somewhere right in the middle. So once again, obviously, I'm testing my patience with this track limits, because I actually screwed this corner up many times. So when you get past that white line that you just saw on the right here, and, I think it's a sector line. Once you get past that, that's when you can start making your very sharp right-hand turn. So you're going to need to pull that steering wheel and make sure you keep in control of your car, because it's easy to lose it over here as well. So when you're passing this this particular curb, yet again, stick to the right as much as you can. And once you're about 3/4 of the way through this entire curb, you're going to start making your left turn. Start turning that steering wheel left. So once again, be careful of track limits here. My wheels just gently touch that white line, as you can see over there in the bottom right hand corner of the screen. You can literally see that if I were to go any more left, I would have pretty much gone over track and my lap time would be invalidated. So when you get past that, you just want to try to keep your car as straight as possible, because speed is very important in this circuit. You want to carry as much speed as you can throughout all the corners. So ideally, how I like to take this particular curb is exactly how I'm doing it right now. Because if you get it right, it's straight all the way up to the next turn. So let's rewind it and take this corner really quickly so you can see what I mean. Alright, let's rewind it a little bit more and we'll start it from here. So in the next DRS zone, don't forget to activate it. So yeah, as you can see, that speed is very important. You can take that the previous particular corners almost flat out actually, and it's an amazing feeling if you do get it right. Unfortunately, this track is really scary at times. So obviously you don't get to see that often by me. So coming up over to the next corner, which is a really easy corner, I would say. I think it's one of the easier ones if I'm being honest. Past the 50-meter board is when you want to start making your turn, and that's when your braking zone is. So when you do your brakes, be careful not to lock up here. It's actually pretty easy to lock up as well, depending on the setup. Stick close to the left as possible, but don't follow my line. You want to stick close to the left as possible, because I actually went wide this particular turn. So pushing up, just stick your to your racing line all the way up to this point. So at this point, exactly when your screen passes the 50-meter board is when you want to start braking your vehicle over this particular corner. But you don't actually need. The corner looks pretty tight from this angle, but actually you don't really need to tap that brakes too hard. I think maybe about 20-30%, I would say, because like I said, carrying speed, as much speed as you can throughout these corners is really important to get a very good time if you want to get it below 130s. So as you can see, with just a light tap on that brakes, and you can actually see the corner starts to open up. So it's actually pretty straight. So yeah, overcoming your fear of these corners is, I think, something very important for this track. If it's really scary in the game, I can't imagine if it's in real life, obviously. So after that, it's a very easy left turn, very self-explanatory. You don't really need me to explain that. Keep following your racing line all the way up to the next corner. Once again around here, just after your screen passes the 50-meter board is when you want to make your turn, and that's where you want to lightly tap on the brakes. Now, yet again, this corner looks scary because you cannot see what's beyond it actually. So stick to the left as much as you can, and it will just be a straight from here on out. Like, it's pretty much straight. You don't really need to turn that hard. So obviously over here as well, if your car is not in the inner white line, you should be fine, but you don't really want to cut too much because you got to avoid that wall on the right. So you want to go a little bit out from that curb, after that curb, and stay roughly in the middle. I would say that's the best line. And when you're getting past this corner, okay, honestly, I don't know why, but this particular curb, when it's completely unnecessary. I don't know why it's even here, if I'm being honest. But just be careful of this particular curb, because when you're building up your acceleration from exiting that corner, when you're trying to accelerate a vehicle all the way out, if you hit this curb a little bit too much, your car would actually slide, and it'll cause you to crash. So just be careful of that. So the next particular DRS zone is when I'll make my yet another mistake through the very last sector. So DRS zone, don't forget to activate that. For me, what I usually like to do is I like to stick completely to the left, which is what I was going to do. But because I was going so fast, and I think I accidentally jerked the steering wheel a little bit to the left, a little bit too much. So I scraped the wall with my front left tire. So that actually cost me at least a tenth of a second, or 2/10 of a second. Sticking to the left, where you want to start leaving the left side to go over to the right hander, because it's going to be a left turn, is just past that DHL board right above, as you can see. So over here, what you're looking for is yet again the 50-meter board. So after the 50-meter board starts slowing on your brakes, take this corner at about third gear, I would say. Downshift all the way to fourth. And right at about here is when you want to drop it to third. So after you drop it to third, that's where you can just start building your acceleration once you're like about 3/4 of the way through, like about here. Be careful on your throttle control here, because if you are too happy with that throttle, you're gonna smack into the wall like what happened to Verstappen in qualifying 3. So be careful with the throttle application here, and once you get that nailed down, that will be the final sector line right there. And then when you hit the DRS zone, immediately after you hit that DRS line, it's going to be a drag race all the way to the finish line. So yeah, there you have it. Not the fastest lap, obviously. I could have done a lot better here, but I'm not so competitive racer. I think 129, 128 is good enough for me. So yeah, I hope this guide helps people go below, way below the 130s mark. And there you have it. This is a really cool track, by the way. It's dangerous, but it's a really cool track. It's really fun because you can completely send it throughout, like, everywhere, except for the first turn. Yeah, so yeah, that's pretty much it for this lap breakdown. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.